Hello YouTube family. Welcome back to the Photon Rookie channel. This is video number 38. Today we're going to look at color calibration. We're going to look at spectrophotometric color calibration, manual color calibration, and no color calibration at all on three different objects from the Seestar S50 to see what the differences are and find out, does color calibration really help an image? We have Siril 1.4.0 beta 3 open here. What we're going to do is we're going to open up a raw image of M16 from the Seestar S50. Go up here to open, and it opens up my work file, and I have it right here. Click on that. So it's in linear mode here. I want to go ahead down here to this button and hit auto stretch so that we can see the data. So this image is comprised of 12,107 10-second fit files from the Seestar S50, taken in Alt-Az mode and a Bortle 4 Sky. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this image of M16 and we're going to use spectrophotometric color calibration on it, and then we're going to run it again, running just the regular generic color calibration, and then we're going to run it a third time with no color calibration at all. Now, for brevity of this video, I'm just going to run the object up and through the color calibration process, and then we'll look at the results. If you want to see what my entire workflow is like, I have several tutorial videos on this channel you can take a look at that go through the entire process. But what we want to do is we just want to look at this object, and we're going to also look at M78, the Casper the Ghost Nebula, and M81, Bode's Galaxy. I'm going to do the same thing to those two objects, and we'll look at the results, the three different results for each one of these objects. So let's go ahead and take this image through spectrophotometric color calibration. We'll do that one first. So normally you would come up here to image processing, open the drop-down box, come to color calibration. Now if you notice, spectrophotometric color calibration is grayed out. You can't use it yet. The reason for that is you have to plate solve this image first before Siril will allow you to use spectrophotometric color calibration. So you come over here to Tools, you come down to Astrometry, Image Plate Solver. Click on that. You don't have to change any of these values. You just come down here and click OK. It's a pretty fast operation. It's finished already. We're done. So now this image of M16 is plate solved. So if we go back over to image processing and come down to color calibration, you see now that the spectrophotometric color calibration is not grayed out anymore. It's available for us to use. So before I click on that and use it, I'm going to go ahead and remove the green noise from the image. Whenever you use the filter on the Seestar S50, it introduces green noise to your objects. So I just hit apply, and it removed it there. You want to make sure you save your result here each time you change something in your image. All right, so now we go back to image processing. We come down to color calibration. We come down to spectrophotometric color calibration, and you'll see here there are a couple of values. You want to make sure, since this came from the Seestar S50, I want to make sure Seestar S50 is shown here. And I did use the filter, so I want to change this value to ZWO Seestar LP. Okay, so now we're going to hit OK, and spectrophotometric color calibration will do its thing. Okay, so here it is. After going through spectrophotometric color calibration, what I would do from this point is save it. Then I would go up to image processing and go to star processing, and I would remove the stars. And this operation takes just a few moments. Okay, our stars are gone. We're left with just the nebula. So what I want to do next is I want to run this through GrAxpert. So we're going to come up here to scripts. We're going to come down to Python scripts, come over to processing, and we're going to run GrAxpert AI. And it'll ask you to run the script. So this box will open up. Move it over here so we can see our image. So here under operations, we're on background extraction. The smoothing is automatically defaulted to 0.5. I leave it there, but you can increase it if you want to. You can experiment with it to see what the change is and see what you like better, but just for this video I'm going to leave it at 0.5, and all you do is hit apply. Okay, background extraction was completed. That was fairly quick. The next thing you want to do is you want to come up here to operation and come down to denoising. Again, denoising defaults at 0.5. You can play with the slider and look at different results as you have time. I'm going to leave it on 0.5, and you hit apply. Denoising process takes a little longer. Okay. Denoising is complete. And go ahead and close this box and save our image. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stretch the image. So we want to come down here to auto stretch and put the image back in linear. We want to come up here to image processing, come down to stretches, and we want to choose generalized hyperbolic stretch transformations. We want to make sure the type of stretch we have picked is generalized hyperbolic transform, and for color stretch model I like to use humid weighted luminance. So here's the bar we're going to use to stretch, and we just want to do it a little at a time. As we stretch, each time you want to hit apply and then come back up and stretch again. Hit apply, and you see the nebula starting to come into view now as this spike moves to the right. So we want to stretch some more. Hit apply. A little more. Hit apply. And take it out a little more. Hit apply. Okay, if you noticed, we've got a gray cast to the image. We want to take that out. And as I stated in previous tutorials, this spike contains all the information in your image. Everything to the left of it is a dead zone. So if we can get rid of this dead zone, that grayness will disappear in our image. The way we do that is we come up to type of stretch, click on that, come down to linear stretch black point shift and select it, and take this bar to move this spike to the left. You want to move it as far to the left as you can get it without getting a value in this clip percentage right here. You want to keep this at 0. If it goes above 0, that means you're cutting into the information of your nebula. So let's go ahead and move the spike over as far as we can till it starts registering a clip percentage there, and it has just a small amount. So what you want to do is you want to use the fine tuning on the bar here, move it back up until that drops back to 0. Okay, right there. So now we're at 0. You can see that gray tint to our image is gone now. So we want to hit apply. Don't forget to hit apply. Come back up here for type of stretch and choose generalized hyperbolic transform. One way to tell if you have a good stretch or not is to come up here and click this logarithmic scale. A perfect stretch in a perfect world would be this spike rising up and then coming down at a 45-degree angle. You'll almost never see that happen, but that's sort of what you strive for. You see the 3 different color channels on here, and I guess if you averaged them out, you would almost have something like a 45-degree angle. So I don't have to stretch anymore. So just make sure you hit apply, close the box, save the image. Now at this point, I would take this image and export it into GIMP and do some adjustments on it there. And then I would take that image and run it through AstroSharp. Once I did that, I would bring it back to Siril, rejoin the stars back to it, make any final adjustments, and call it a day. For brevity of this video, I'm not going to do it here. I just wanted to show you how to do the spectrophotometric color calibration. Now we're going to go back and use this same image, and we're going to go through just the generic manual color calibration. So we'll do that right now. Okay, we're back at our starting point again with M16. So this time we're going to run it through generic manual color calibration. Remember before we ran it through spectrophotometric color calibration, which pulls from a database and is supposed to give it a true, or what passes for a true representation of the color of the object. This color calibration we're getting ready to do now actually gives it kind of a hint of a Hubble palette, and you'll see what I mean in the final result. But let's go ahead and do the manual generic color calibration now. First thing I want to do again is remove the green noise. All right, save our result. Okay, for the manual generic color calibration, you don't have to do any plate solving. So we just go straight to color calibration and click on color calibration, and this box opens up. So it's very easy to do. The first thing you want to do is you want to pick the darkest spot on your image. So we'll go ahead and choose this little dark area, make a little tiny box on it. Then you want to come over here and click use current selection, and then you want to click background neutralization. Okay, the next thing you want to do is you want to make a larger box. You want most of the box to contain the bright area of your object, but you want a little bit of the dark area in it too. So you want to do a box about like that. Then you're going to come to the bottom half of this box over here, click use current selection, and apply. Okay, if you notice, it took a lot of that warmness out and gave it a cool look. And you'll find that when you use this form of color calibration and you go through your processing on your object, this comes out in a light bluish tint. There's still some of the reds in here, but it gives you that kind of a hint of blue like you see in the Hubble palette images a lot of people do. So you want to close, you want to save the object. We want to go ahead and remove the stars. So we come down to star processing and StarNet star removal and execute. And we'll remove the stars from the image. Okay, the stars have been removed. We're just left with the nebula. So what we want to do next is we want to run it through Grexpert. So we want to come over here. Also, make sure you save. Almost forgot to do it myself there, but always make sure you save when you make a change to the image. So now we're going to come over to scripts. We're going to come down to Python scripts, processing, and Grexpert AI. And we're going to hit run script. And we'll move our box over here so we can see our image. We're going to go ahead and, like we did before, I'm going to leave it at 0.5. We're in background extraction operation, and I'm just going to hit apply and let it do the background extraction. And that was quick. The next thing we'll do is we'll come up to operation, select denoising, and hit apply. Okay, denoising is complete, so we can close this box, save our result. Now we're going to go ahead and stretch it. So let's come down here and take it out of auto stretch and put it into linear. Come up here to image processing, stretches, generalized hyperbolic stretch transformations, Make sure that generalized hyperbolic transform is selected under type of stretch. And color stretch, we want humid weighted luminance. And just as we did before, we want to stretch it a little at a time until the nebula comes into view. And you're starting to see it there. Okay. Let's go ahead and move our spike back with change the type of stretch to linear stretch black point shift. And like we did before, to get rid of that gray, let's move our spike back. Put this clip percentage back to 0 using the fine tuning here. And there we are, and hit apply. So you might remember our image before that we ran through the spectrophotometric color calibration had more of an orangish brownish red cast. And this one you still have the oranges and the browns, but you also see some bluish color in here that wasn't in the other one, and that's just what the manual color calibration does. It adds this feature in. So we like what we've got there, so we'll hit apply and close. Now normally, like I said before, I would send this to GIMP and then to AstroSharp and then bring it back into Siril and remarry it back to the stars. I'm not going to do that here. If you want to see the entire if you want to see the entire process, the entire workflow, please look at my other videos on this channel. They have the complete workflow in them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and get these images processed. Remember, the third option was no color calibration at all. There's no reason to show that because all we do is remove the green noise, run it through GragSpert, stretch it, and then process it. So there's nothing to do there. So I'll go ahead and work up the results. I'll also run the Casper the Ghost Nebula M78 through and get the 3 different results for that, and do the same thing for M81 Bode's Galaxy and show you the 3 results for that. So here come the results. Here we have the result for M16. The spectrophotometric result is on the left. The generic manual color calibration is in the center, and no color calibration is on the right. In this case, M16 definitely benefited from color calibration. The spectrophotometric is probably my favorite. It's more what they call true to life because it's taken from plate solving and a database that has supposedly the correct color for M16. Now the generic manual looks really good too for those of you that like the Hubble palette. I'm not a real big fan of the Hubble palette, but this did come out nicely. And the image with no color calibration at all looks a bit bland. I tried to be very consistent in how I processed these 3 images, going through Siril, GragSpert, GIMP, and AstroSharp, but this is not a scientific experiment. There are variables there, but I did the best I could to be consistent. Here we have the results for M78, the Casper the Ghost Nebula. This image was comprised of just over 10,000 10-second subs from the S50. You can see the spectrophotometric version on the left, the generic manual in the center, and no color calibration on the right. Now in this case, I personally prefer the generic manual because I can see more of the dark nebula and it seems to show more detail, but the spectrophotometric looks pretty good too. The image with no color calibration looks a little bit less interesting than the other 2 in my opinion, so it appears M78 definitely benefits from color calibration. Okay, and now to our last object, M81. M81 Bode's Galaxy. Kind of a different result here. You see the Spectrophotometric on the left, the generic manual in the middle, and no color calibration at all on the right. Spectrophotometric looks pretty good. The generic manual brought out the blues in the arms, kind of that Hubble palette effect again. But if you look at the version on the right that has no color calibration, that looks better than the other two in my opinion. You got some of that wispiness around the galaxy. I see more detail in the galaxy, and it appears that based on this test and this galaxy here, which is comprised of about 5,000 10-second subs, that color calibration does not help this object. It appears that the object came out with more detail, and it's just clearer with no color calibration at all. So, is it that way across all galaxies? I don't know. I'll have to do some more experimentation. But based on this test today, it appears that color calibration, depending on whether you use Spectrophotometric or the generic manual, that nebulas tend to benefit from it. It looks like galaxies may be better off without using color calibration. What are your thoughts on it? I'd love to hear what you folks are experiencing out there. Thanks so much for watching my video. I appreciate all my subscribers, and hope that if you get something out of these videos that you'll join the Photon Rookie channel and subscribe too. We'll see you on the next video.